Coming up on Network Africa, the United States call for an immediate withdrawal of Eritrean troops in Ethiopia. Mali sets February 2022 for new elections that will help return the country to democracy. Plus, Africa Centers for Disease Control says countries' COVID-19 inoculation plans are in disarray as vaccine deliveries are scarce and unreliable. Hello and welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Layo Adegoke. The U.S. envoy to the United Nations has called for the withdrawal of Eritrean troops from Ethiopia immediately after reports of rape and sexual violence. Linda Thomas-Greenfield was speaking after a UN Security Council meeting on the Tigray conflict. She's also calling for a joint investigation by the Office of the High Commissioner of Human Rights and the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission in Tigray. Ethiopia says it is investigating the reports of sexual violence. Now, Eritrea had previously dismissed accusations of abuses, with a senior officer describing the allegations as fabricated. To politics now. Mali's transitional government says legislative and presidential elections will be held on the 27th of February 2022 as the country seeks to return to democracy. This comes after last year's military coup that ousted President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta. The election process is to begin with a referendum on the 31st of October this year and then a council election on the 26th of December. A second round of legislative and presidential elections will be held in March 2022 if no candidate gets more than 50% in the first round. The international community has been calling for a return to democracy after last year's coup in Mali. The military junta behind the coup was dissolved in January 2021, but senior military personnel still hold several key posts in a 25-member transitional government. Well, let's get more on this story from an African Affairs analyst, Achike Trudeau, joining us now. Thank you so much for speaking to us on Network Africa. What are your thoughts concerning this date set for the legislative and presidential elections, even as, Mali seeks to return to democracy?
Well, the transitional government had a mandate, they had an obligation, and I think what they're trying to do is just to fulfill the obligation. Of course, we understand the circumstances that led to the setting up of a transitional government. The military was in power, and then they had to concede as a result of the pressure that was being put on them by the international community, especially the ECOWAS, led by former Nigerian President Jonathan Goodluck. And so they had an agreement that they were going to, the military wanted about 3 years or so of transition, but the ECOWAS insisted that the international community that had to be 18 months. And so what they are doing, the transitional government is doing, is to simply abide by the agreement that they had with the international community to have this election. And so this is just what it is. They are fulfilling an obligation. They know that if they had not gotten to this level, that there would have been very serious repercussions. So I think they are trying to avoid that. And but it is also good of them to have also agreed to abide by the decision that they had entered into with the international community, especially ECOWAS.
All right. Now, between now and February 2022, what would you say this transitional government should do to allow smooth transition to democracy?
Well, at least they have started walking the talk. They've talked about the referendum that will be held around the 31st of October, after which the transitional government would approve of the referendum, and then of course they now go into election. So I want to believe that working not just as a transitional government, but also working with local partners the civil society organizations and the members of the international community who are expected to also help with relevant logistics, they begin to move towards the election that they are going to conduct in December and then in February. And so they need to do a lot of enlightenment campaign. They need to make the people aware of what is coming, ahead for the entire country. And of course, it is something that the people had looked up to because the people were involved in the ouster of the former president, and they wanted something much better. And so we hope, and the people will be hoping that this transition will lead to a government that is that will be pro-people, a government that will be able to deliver, especially with regards to the anti-insurgency war that is going on, and then again the serious economic issues that they have. So ultimately, we expect that this government will move towards do everything that is needed to ensure that people are carried along, and that they stay away from all those things that are capable of causing tension in Mali. Of course, the issue of whipping up sentiments, ethnic, religious sentiments within Malian society, I think they have gone beyond that. If you look at the composition of the transitional government, it is made up of people from various parts of Mali. So we believe that they are all going to work in a concerted manner to ensure that the election will evolve peacefully.
All right, then. Thank you so much. Achikechu, the African Affairs Analyst, thank you for joining us on the program.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Well, the Constitutional Court in Benin has approved the election results showing President Patrice Talon won Sunday's vote. Mr. Talon received 86% of the vote compared to Alassane Soumane with about 11.3% and Corentin Kuko with 2.3%. The court has approved the results pending appeals that can be filed in the next 5 days. The court ruling comes amid reports that one of the presidential candidates who was barred from contesting had been arrested. Another presidential hopeful, Rekia Madugu, who was also barred, was detained last month and accused of plotting to undermine elections. The head of the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, John Nkagasong, says there is a strong uptake of COVID-19 vaccines on the continent, but many Africans who have received their first vaccine do not know when they will get a second shot. So far, the majority of the vaccines available in African countries have been delivered via the World Health Organization-backed COVAX facility. The majority of those doses are AstraZeneca shots produced in India, but India suspended its exports to meet rising domestic demand. Now, this has caused great uncertainty for Africa's vaccination rollout.
As of the 12th of April, a total of 34.6 million vaccine doses have been acquired by member states, with approximately 13.9 million doses having been administered. Morocco and some of the breakdown include Morocco 8.6 million doses, Nigeria close to 1 million, Ghana 680 doses have been administered on the continent so far. So really strong uptake for Morocco's 8.6 million, Nigeria close to 1 million, Ghana 680 million. So again, this suggests that if we have the vaccine, the rollout can actually occur pretty quickly. The expiring date of the vaccines was the expiring date as indicated on the vial was April 13, and the countries got those vaccines about 3 weeks before, so which is and not large numbers of doses. These are 200,000, 10,000 here and there, because again these are from the MTN donations, which we took from South Africa and distributed as part of our really efforts to continue to do our best to ease the situation. So we really were expecting that those who had received the vaccines use the vaccine. If you put out a call that you have 200,000 doses of vaccines to be distributed in a capital city, I'm sure within a couple of days those vaccines will be gone.
Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta has ordered all teachers to have a COVID-19 vaccine irrespective of their age. The country has been vaccinating school managers and those aged above 50, elderly citizens and the frontline workers. More than 500,000 people have had the AstraZeneca jab out of the more than 1 million doses delivered to the country. The president and all teachers and non-teaching staff in schools should have the jab before schools reopen on May the 10th. Well, according to the head of Kenya's Teachers Service Commission, Nancy Macharia, 15 primary school teachers, 3 deputy head teachers, and 8 head teachers have died of COVID-19 during the pandemic in Kenya. Cyrus Ombati, a Kenyan journalist, joins us now for more details on this. Thank you so much, Cyrus, for speaking to us. Do tell us, what has been the response to President Kenyatta's mandate to all teachers to get vaccinated?
Good afternoon. The President's directive that all teachers be vaccinated as a priority, it has come as not as a surprise, because initially the teachers had been actually listed as the frontline workers, as essential workers who are supposed to be vaccinated and as a priority. The problem is that there has been lack of kind of guidance and commitment from the teachers' leadership in terms of driving or mobilizing them to be vaccinated. And we believe the move by the president to direct that all teachers be vaccinated was because we are expecting the second term of the school be reopened in May. So the president is pushing that these teachers be inoculated by almost half of them. We have around 250,000 teachers in Kenya. So that if we have such kind of number vaccinated, you'll be able to control infection or the effects of this pandemic. So I believe that's the agenda, that's the aim of the president's directive, that all the teachers be vaccinated by the end of the month, or by May. As I've said earlier on, the problem is there's lack of commitment. There's a lot of suspicion on the vaccination and the vaccine that was procured by Kenya, and a lot of rumors. I mean, innuendo, the Politics International about AstraZeneca. All those are actually contributing to the fears by, among others, teachers, doctors, and the so-called frontline workers from being vaccinated. It's a normal problem, I believe. Well, the teachers' union leadership has welcomed the move by the president to order that they be vaccinated, because it's aimed at protecting them and protecting the children they are going to take care of from May. It's a welcome move from many, because there's been a reluctance to be vaccinated at large. It's a good move. When we talk to many people here and there, they are saying it's a good move. Let's see how the response, rather how they receive it. How do they respond to the directive? Are they going to there? We're waiting.
Well, we know Kenya received over 1 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccines, and now over 500,000 people have been inoculated. What is the government's plan, in reaching other essential workers like the healthcare workers who are on the front line?
And doctors, medical practitioners at large, teachers, soldiers, and policemen were listed as frontline workers. So they were given priority, the first cases, to be vaccinated. But then there has been a sluggishness at large from them. The response has been poor in terms of them being vaccinated. That's why we have, out of 1.2 million doses that were brought to the country, we've had only around 600,000 people have been inoculated. Then because there was a kind of a slow pace of uptake, the government allowed that all those who are aged 58 and above be vaccinated as a priority. So all those aged people were allowed to be vaccinated, but still the intake has been slow at large. But then we have seen more Kenyans, or rather young Kenyans, running to be also vaccinated there, hence the increase in the number of cases that have been vaccinated. We anticipate by the end of this month, or by mid next month, there will be a rise in terms of cases that have been inoculated at large. and it will depend on the kind of the campaign that will be there from all the stakeholders involved. But then, because we also had journalists also included as frontline workers, they were allowed also to be vaccinated at large. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Cyrus Ombati, Kenyan journalist, joining us there. Still ahead on the program. Our Africa Tech segment meets with a Kenyan Drone Academy founder who hopes to help aspiring pilots soar. Please stay with us, we'll give you more details. Welcome back to the program. Outgoing top UN official in South Sudan, David Shearer, says it's been a pleasure to help, support and encourage peace in the country as he ends his 4-year long term as the head of the UN peacekeeping mission. Mr. Shearer is now calling on its leadership, the South Sudanese leadership, to show responsibility towards its citizens.
It is going too slowly, and that comes at a cost. And one of those costs is in the form of subnational violence that we've been seeing too frequently on the ground. It's much more localized than the violence we have seen between the political parties, but nevertheless it's displaced many people, and together with flooding has resulted in some very acute humanitarian needs for the people on the ground there. I think corruption is an area that deserves a greater degree of focus. There hasn't been a statement of accounts for several years coming from South Sudan. Currently there is no formalised budget that's been put in place. There's no real transparency about where money is coming into the country and how it's being spent. The South Sudanese speak proudly of winning their sovereignty from Sudan, and they are very proud citizens of the newest country of South Sudan. But from the leadership, what we want to see that sovereignty match with responsibility, and that is responsibility towards its citizens. So that really does need to does need to occur.
The Sub-Saharan Africa region's economic outlook will grow by 3.4% in 2021, up from 3.1% projected in October. Now, that's according to the International Monetary Fund. Director of IMF's African Department, Abebe Amero Selassie, says, fortunately, the region will recover some ground this year. However, per capita output is not expected to return to 2019 levels until after 2022.
The region's economy contracted by 1.9% in 2020. While this is somewhat less severe, about 1 percentage point less than we projected in October, at 2% contraction, it's still the worst outcome on record. Fortunately, the region will recover some ground this year and is projected to expand by 3.4%. Even so, per capita output is not expected to return to 2019 levels until after 2022. The number of people living in extreme poverty in sub-Saharan Africa, as we have observed throughout the pandemic, the outlook is subject to greater than usual uncertainty. The main risk is that the region could face repeated COVID-19 episodes before vaccines become available. But there are a range of other factors, such as limited external concessional financing, political instability, domestic security, or climate events that could also jeopardize the recovery.
Human rights groups in Algeria have warned that more than 20 pro-democracy prisoners who are on hunger strike could die and should be immediately released. In a statement posted on social media, 8 organizations, including the Algerian League for Human Rights, say some of the 23 detained people were facing health complications after refusing food for more than a week. They have been charged with damaging national unity and holding an unarmed gathering following their arrest in April at a protest in the capital, Algiers, organized by the Hirak movement, which is demanding sweeping political change in the country. Ahead of Earth Day on the 22nd of April, a Ugandan startup is taking on one of the country's biggest sources of waste and turning it into a valuable asset for the economy. They process banana stalks that farmers usually burn or abandon into fiber to create a variety of products. Kimani Muturi is the founder of TexFad. He says the 11 million tons of bananas that Uganda produces every year make him confident their efforts will pay off as global demand for the sustainable fiber grows. Bananas have been long a staple in Uganda, and the UN Food and Agriculture Organization estimates the average citizen consumes more than 200 kilograms annually of the fruit.
Ladies, we generate a lot of waste from the banana gardens. So I kept thinking, if this waste can be used for textiles, then we can be able to provide a sustainable product to the world. And then I started the journey for developing fibers from textile fibers from the waste stems. The hair extensions we are making are highly biodegradable. After using, our ladies will go and bury them in the soil, and they'll become manure for their vegetables. Yeah. So we are trying to replace what is done with synthetic hair-like to the natural hair-like. And also, I've mentioned before that we are also trying to replace fiberglass by providing a natural fiber that can act on behalf of the fiberglass. We have wholesalers from the US who are asking us how many tons can we ship. We have people in Europe who are asking us about shipping prices, in Canada, in Australia, and many parts of even Africa also. But we cannot be able to meet this market.
Welcome to our Africa Tech segment. In 2017, a Nairobi-based multimedia producer, Tony Mwangi, headed to South Africa to train as a pilot and then as an instructor of unmanned aerial vehicles, hoping to get ahead of the trend in his native Kenya before it was legal to own and operate them. Now, after arming himself with necessary licenses and certificates, he is training other people to fly drones safely and professionally.
Fly, I feel powerful.
It was 2017 and Tony Mwangi has had enough of working on live shows and for advertising agencies in Kenya. He headed for South Africa, which has one of the most developed unmanned aerial vehicle or UAV sectors on the continent.
When it comes to tech, Kenya is quite advanced, and one of the things that I wanted to do is actually come to Kenya and train people how to fly drones. This is because, of course, some people outside training in this country, but I wanted it to be professional, where people actually fly safely and be professional.
In many African states, regulation of drone use remains highly restrictive, grounding their potential to help leapfrog infrastructure challenges. Authorities have cited security and safety concerns. Rwanda is a notable exception. The government has since 2016 permitted companies to harness drone technology for solutions such as transporting blood and medical supplies to remote areas. Last year, Rwanda's police also used drones to monitor the streets during the COVID-19 lockdown. Thanks to his study of regulatory systems in South Africa, Mwangi was already arming himself with the licenses, certificates, syllabus and manual he knew he would be requiring. That's it on the program for today and for the week. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I'm Layo Adegoke. Have a great weekend.